The forest breathed around Tomas Reeves as he made his final patrol of the evening. 20 years as a ranger in Blackwood National Forest had attuned him to its rhythms, but tonight something felt different. The air carried an electric charge. That made the hairs on his arms stand on end. "Last sector clear," he reported into his radio. "Heading back to the station?" "Copy that," responded Juniper, his station coordinator. "There's a storm system moving in. Don't dawdle." Tomas smiled at her motherly tone despite her being half his age. He switched off his radio and followed the familiar trail, boots crunching on fallen pine needles. The twilight deepened around him, stars beginning to prick the darkening sky between the towering trees. A flash of light streaked overhead, brilliant and blue-white. Not lightning. Something else. It disappeared beyond the ridge to the north, followed by a distant thud that vibrated through the ground. Curiosity pulled Tomas off the main trail. He'd seen meteors before, but none that landed so close. His head ranger investigating unusual events was part of his job. At least that's what he told himself as he climbed the ridge, flashlight beams sweeping the underbrush. In a small clearing, the earth was scorched in a perfect circle. At its center lay a rock unlike any Tomas had seen, obsidian black but veined with pulsing blue light. He approached cautiously, scientific training warring with instinct. Stone was surprisingly cool to the touch, despite its fiery arrival. When he lifted it, the object shifted in his palm, outer layer cracking slightly to reveal more of the luminescent blue beneath. Not a rock at all, but something like an egg, its shell partially translucent. Inside, something moved. "What in the world are you?" Tomas whispered. His radio crackled to life. "Tomas, you okay out there? Your GPS shows you off trail?" He hesitated, then replied, "All good, just checking something. Heading back now." Tomas knew protocol. Unknown objects, especially those falling from space, should be reported immediately. Quarantine procedures would follow. Scientists in hazmat suits would descend. The egg, if that's what it was, would disappear into some government facility. Instead, he wrapped it carefully in his bandana and placed it in his pack. Back at the ranger station, Juniper looked up from her computer. "You look like you've seen a ghost. Just tired," he said, avoiding her perceptive gaze. "Going to head home? Before you go, did you see that meteor? A call's coming in about it from town." Tomas shrugged, saw the light. Nothing on the ground. The lie felt heavy on his tongue. In 20 years of service, he'd never broken protocol. But something about the egg's pulsing glow felt almost sentient. It deserved better than to become a specimen in a lab. His cabin sat at the forest's edge, a haven of solitude after his wife Alana passed 5 years ago. He placed the egg on his kitchen table, unwrapping it carefully. The blue glow had intensified, illuminating the room with gentle azure light. Through the translucent sections, Tomas could see a form curled inside, something with what appeared to be wings or fins, definitely not from any species he recognized. He prepared a box lined with soft cloths, placing it near the fireplace for warmth. "Just until I figure out what to do with you," he told it, feeling slightly foolish for talking. To an egg. That night, Tomas dreamt of stars and distant worlds, of falling through space wrapped in blue light. He woke to the sound of gentle tapping. The egg was moving, its outer shell developing hairline fractures. Then another sound cut through the night, 3 distinct knocks on his front door. Tomas froze. It was nearly midnight, his cabin. Miles from town. No one visited unannounced, especially not this late. He pulled on a robe and moved quietly to the window, peering through the curtains. A figure stood on his porch, tall and slender, features obscured by a hooded cloak. Not a ranger, nor anyone from town he recognized. The egg's tapping grew more insistent, its glow pulsing brighter as if responding to the visitor's presence. 3 more knocks, firm but patient. Tomas glanced between the egg and the door, instinct telling him these events were connected. He slipped the egg into his robe pocket, feeling its warmth against his side, and reached for the door handle. Whatever waited outside had crossed the stars to find him. There was no turning back now. Tomas opened the door cautiously, one hand still in his pocket protecting the egg. The cloaked figure stood motionless, face shadowed beneath a hood that seemed to absorb the moonlight rather than reflect it. Thomas Reeves? The voice was feminine. With an accent he couldn't place melodic yet precise. "Who's asking?" he replied, keeping his stance firm in the doorway. The stranger lowered her hood. Tomas inhaled sharply. Her features were almost human-high cheekbones, almond-shaped eyes but. Her skin held an iridescent quality, and her eyes were entirely violet, without whites or visible pupils. "My name is Navarra," she said. "I believe you have something that belongs to my people." The egg pulsed warmly in his pocket, as if recognizing her voice. "I don't know what you're talking about," Tomas lied, though his hand instinctively tightened. Around the egg, Navarra's expression softened. "I mean no harm to you or the hatchling. I am its guardian." She glanced past him into the cabin, then at the darkened forest behind her. "We should not speak outside. Others are searching." Against his better judgment, Tomas stepped aside. Navarra entered, moving with fluid grace that seemed almost weightless. Her cloak, now in the light, revealed intricate patterns that shifted like constellations. "Show me," she said simply. Tomas hesitated, then slowly withdrew the egg from his pocket. It glowed brighter in his palm, the fractures more pronounced now. Navarra's eyes widened. She reached toward it, but stopped short of touching it. "It recognizes you," she whispered. "It has begun bonding. I just found it in the forest. It fell from the sky." She nodded, a desperate measure. "Its parent was my companion, killed by those who hunt our kind." Her voice faltered. In her final moments, she sent her child to a world we believed might shelter it. "Your world. You're saying your—" Tomas couldn't finish the sentence. "Not from Earth?" "Yes." Navarra's violet eyes met his. "My people are Astravari. We have watched your planet for centuries, from a distance. This is our first direct contact." The egg pulsed again, drawing both their attention. A tiny crack appeared along its surface. "Hatching," Tomas said, alarmed. "Not yet," Navarra corrected. "It's responding to our energies, assessing." Astravari young choose their companions carefully. Companions. "I just found it. I can't." "You chose to protect it rather than surrender it to your authorities," Navarra interrupted. "That choice marked you as a potential guardian." Tomas sank into a chair, the weight of her words settling on him. "What happens? When it hatches, a bond forms. A connection of mind and purpose." She knelt before him, her movements liquid and strange. "But there is danger. Those who killed its parent will have tracked its fall. They will come the Verax hunters, who collect rare species from across the galaxy." "Why? What do they want?" "With it, Astravar can form symbiotic bonds with other species, sharing knowledge, enhancing abilities. Some seek to exploit this gift." Her voice hardened. "Verax sell our young to the highest bidders as living weapons." Outside, wind rustled through the trees. Or was it something else? Navarra tensed, her attention snapping toward the window. "There. Closer than I thought," she whispered. "We need to move. Tonight." I can't just leave Tomas Reeves," she said, using his full name with strange emphasis. "By taking the hatchling, you've already involved yourself in something greater than your world understands. If the Verax find you alone, they will not show mercy." The egg pulsed in his hand, warm and insistent. Tomas looked down at it then. At the strange visitor who had appended his quiet life in minutes. "What do we do?" he asked finally. Navarra's expression eased slightly. "We protect the hatchling. Together. Until it chooses." Tomas nodded slowly, decision crystallizing. 20 years of following protocol had left him alone in a cabin with memories. Perhaps it was time for something different, something extraordinary. "I'll pack supplies," he said, rising. "There's an old hunting cabin deeper in the forest, off the maps." As he gathered essentials, Tomas caught Navarra examining the photographs on his mantelelena and him in happier days. She observed quietly. Tomas paused. "Yes, as have I." She touched the egg gently when he returned. "Perhaps that's why it found us both." Dawn broke through misty rain as Tomasa and Navarra reached the hidden cabin. The trek through night-dark forest had been tense, with Navarra constantly alert, pausing at sounds Tomas could barely detect. The egg remained secure in a makeshift sling. Across his chest, its glow dimmed beneath layers of cloth. The cabin was little more than a sturdy shed, a single room with a stone fireplace. Rusty from disuse. Tomas had discovered it years ago while tracking poachers, kept it off official maps as his private retreat. "We should be safe here, at least temporarily," he said, setting down his pack. "No one knows about this place." Navarra touched the rough-hewn walls. "Your scent is strong here. They will follow it eventually." "My scent?" Tomas frowned. "What exactly are these Varaks? Hunters evolved for pursuit." She moved to the window, scanning the surrounding trees. "They process sensory information differently than humans or Ostravari. They can track biochemical signatures across vast distances." "Like bloodhounds from space," Tomas muttered, unpacking supplies. A PT comparison. Her mouth curved slightly, the first hint of a smile he'd seen. "More dangerous, though. They've adapted technology to enhance their natural abilities." Tomas built a small fire, careful to use dry wood that would produce minimal smoke. As warmth filled the cabin, he unwrapped the egg. Its blue glow seemed stronger, the network of cracks more intricate. "Is it in pain?" he asked, concerned. Navarra knelt beside him. "No, it's developing, preparing. Each crack is intentional neural. Pathways forming, consciousness expanding." She reached into her cloak and withdrew a crystalline vial containing luminescent liquid. "This will help strengthen it for what comes." When she unstoppered the vial, the scent reminded Tomas of thunderstorms and ozone. She carefully dripped 3 drops onto the egg's surface. The liquid disappeared into the shell, causing the blue glow to pulse rhythmically. "What happens when it hatches?" Tomas asked. "You mentioned bonding, but what does that mean for whoever it chooses?" Navarra's violet eyes studied him. Sharing of consciousness, communication without words, enhanced perception. She hesitated. "And responsibility. To guide, protect, teach, like raising a child?" "Yes, but also like gaining a part of yourself you never knew was missing." A sharp sound outside froze them both, the snap of a branch, too heavy to be wildlife. Navarra's expression hardened. "They've found us." She moved with sudden speed, extinguishing the fire. "How many entrances?" "Just the door and that window," Tomas replied, heart racing. He reached for his hunting knife, pitifully inadequate against whatever was out there, but better than nothing. "Take the hatchling," Navarra instructed, pressing the egg into his hands. "Hide. I will draw them away. You can't face them alone. I've fought Varaks before," she cut him off. "You haven't. The hatchling is what matters." Before he could protest further, the cabin wall splintered. A projectile of some kind had torn through the wood like paper. Navarra pushed Tomas toward the small storage space under the floorboards, his emergency hiding spot. "Wait for my signal," she whispered. Then faced the door as it burst open. The creature that entered barely fit through the frame, hulking, armored with a face like a hairless wolf beneath gleaming tech implants. Behind it came to more, smaller, but no less menacing. From his hiding place, Tomas watched through cracks between the floorboards as Navarra faced them. She spoke in a language of sharp consonants and musical tones, clearly their language. But her posture showed no submission. Varaks responded with guttural sounds. Tomas couldn't understand the words, but the threat was unmistakable. When they attacked, Navarra moved like liquid lightning. A device from her wrist expanded into a staff of energy that cut through the air with deadly precision. 1 Varaks fell immediately. The second caught her with a glancing blow that sent her sprawling. Tomas clutched the egg, its warmth pulsing against his chest. He had promised to hide, to protect it, but Navarra was fighting for both of them. 20 years as a ranger had taught him to respect nature's dangers. 5 years of grief had taught him the cost of inaction. When the lead Varaks loomed over Navarra, weapon raised, Tomas made his choice. He burst from hiding, knife in one hand, egg secured against his body with the other. With precision born from years in the wilderness, he drove his blade into the creature's exposed neck joint where armor met flesh. The Virax roared, turning on him with terrifying speed. Tomas narrowly dodged, feeling the whoosh of claws where his head had been a moment before. Navarra seized the opportunity, driving her energy staff through the distracted hunter's chest. It collapsed with a mechanical whine, implants flickering out. The remaining Virax backed toward the door, reassessing the threat. It barked something into a device on its wrist, then fled into the forest. Calling for reinforcements, Navarra said grimly, retrieving her weapon. We have minutes, not hours. Tomas nodded, adrenaline still surging. There's an underground river network nearby. We can use it to mask our trail. As they gathered what they needed, Navarra touched his arm. You fought well. Few humans would. Stand against a Virax. Few humans find alien eggs in forests, Tomas replied with unexpected lightness. I'm improvising. The egg in his hands pulsed brighter, almost as if in approval. The underground river flowed cold and swift through limestone caverns. Tomas led the way, the beam of his flashlight catching on stalactites that hung like ancient teeth from the ceiling. Behind them, distant echoes suggested pursuit the Virax. Hunters were not easily deterred. This passage connects to a larger system, Tomas explained, voice hushed despite the rushing water that masked their conversation. I've mapped most of it over the years. There's a chamber ahead where we can rest. Navarra followed, her natural luminescence providing additional light. The hatchling, how is it? Tomas checked the egg nestled against his chest. Its blue glow had intensified, visible even through the fabric of the sling. The network of cracks now covered its entire surface, fine as spider silk. Active, he replied. The shell seems thinner. It's responding to stress preparing to emerge. Navarra's expression was difficult to read. Ideally, hatching occurs in peaceful circumstances, but danger can accelerate the process. They reached a cathedral-like chamber where the river widened into a still pool before continuing its underground journey. Phosphorescent fungi clung to the walls, casting everything in soft green light. Tomas helped Navarra onto a flat rock shelf above the waterline. We should be safe here for a while, he said, though uncertainty colored his words. The water masks our scent, and these caves are a maze to anyone who doesn't know them. The Virax are persistent, Navarra warned, but this will slow them. She examined a gash on her arm from the earlier fight, applying a salve from a pouch. At her belt, the wound sealed almost immediately. Tomas carefully removed the egg from its sling. The moment it touched the open air, it began to tremble. Navarra, she was beside him instantly. Cracks widening, its light spilled from within. So bright Tomas had to squint. A sound emerged, not quite a cry, not quite a song that resonated through the chamber, causing ripples across the still water. What do we do? Tomas asked, voice tight with anticipation and fear. Be present, Navarra replied simply. Open your mind. The hatchling will choose. The shell split fully, illuminating the cave in brilliant blue. Within the fragments lay a creature unlike anything Tomas had seen, resembling a small dragon or winged serpent, but with crystalline scales that shifted colors with each breath. Its eyes, when they opened, contained galaxies. The hatchling unfurled delicate wings, still damp from the egg fluids. It lifted its head, regarding first Navarra, then Tomas, with ancient intelligence that belied its newborn state. A sensation brushed against Tomas's mind, tentative questioning. Not words exactly, but impressions, curiosity, need, recognition. It's communicating, he breathed. Navarra nodded. The beginning of the bond. It seeks connection. The hatchling trembled, clearly exhausted by the effort of emerging. It needed to choose quickly to form the bond that would help it survive. Tomas expected it to turn to Navarra, its own kind. Instead, the tiny creature crawled toward him, wings dragging. When it reached his hand, it curled against his palm and closed its eyes. Warmth flooded Tomas's mind impressions, becoming clearer, emotions distinct. Trust, safety, belonging. It's chosen you, Navarra said. Wonder, and something like sadness in her voice. I suspected it might. But you're its kind. Astravara young often bond with different species. It strengthens our collective understanding of the universe. It touched the hatchling gently, and you saved it twice now. It recognizes a guardian spirit. Before Tomas could respond, a distant sound echoed through the cave's metal against stone. The hatchling's eyes flew open, sphere pulsing through the new bond into Tomas's mind. Navarra rose. Energy staff ready. They've found the cave system, she said grimly. There's another exit, Tomas replied, carefully cradling the hatchling, but it's narrow, defensible. As they moved deeper into the caves, the tiny creature curled against Tomas's chest. Through their nascent bond, he felt its strength growing, its consciousness expanding. Impressions became clearer. Almost words now. Danger. Protect. Together. I know. Tomas whispered to it. We will. The narrow passage emerged into dense forest miles from where they'd entered. Night had fallen, stars shining through breaks in the canopy. The hatchling stirred, reaching toward the sky with a yearning Tomas felt echo in his own chest. Home, far, but here now. What will happen to it? Tomas asked Navarra as they paused to orient themselves. If we survive this, the bond will deepen, she explained. It will grow, learn from you, share knowledge with you. Eventually, when mature, it will be able to travel the stars again, with or without you. And you? What happens to you? Navarra's violet eyes reflected starlight. My mission was to ensure the hatchling found a worthy guardian. It appears I've succeeded. She glanced back toward the cave entrance. But the Virax must be dealt with first. They won't stop hunting. A plan formed in Tomas's mind. Risky, but possible. The hatchling sensed his thoughts, responding with images of its own. I think, Tomas said slowly, we might have a way to end this. But we'll need to work together, all three of us. Dawn approached as Tomas Navarra and the hatchling reached the ridge overlooking the meteorite's impact site. The forest spread below them, peaceful in early light that belied the danger pursuing them, the hatchling which Tomas had begun calling. Lumen in his thoughts had grown remarkably in just hours, now the size of a hawk. Its crystalline scales shimmered between blue and silver. Through their strengthening bond, Tomas felt its intelligence expanding, processing information at extraordinary speed. They come. 7 hunters, weapons ready. Tomas nodded, now accustomed to the voice that wasn't a voice in his mind. They're closing in, he relayed to Navarra. Lumen senses 7. She raised an eyebrow at the name, but didn't comment. Then our timing must be perfect, she knelt, drawing complex patterns in the soil with a finger that left luminescent traces. The impact crater focuses in G's natural convergence point. We can use that. Their plan was desperate, born of necessity, and the hatchling's ancient knowledge transmitted through the bond. Virax technology relied on sophisticated tracking. Systems that could be overloaded by the right energy signature. Are you sure about this? Navarra asked, studying Tomas's face. The bond is new. Such deep connection so early carries risk. Tomas met her gaze steadily. I've spent 20 years playing it safe. Where did that leave me? Alone in a cabin, measuring? The days he glanced at Lumen, perched on his shoulder. Some risks are worth taking. They positioned themselves at the crater's center, where faint blue energy still lingered in the soil. Navarra completed her complex pattern of containment circle she'd explained, to focus and amplify what would come. Lumen spread its wings, now spanning nearly 4 feet. Through their bond, Tomas felt it gathering strength, drawing energy not just from itself, but from the stars above, the earth below. Ready, trust, together. The first Virax hunter appeared at the ridge's edge, armor gleaming in the dawn light. Others followed, spreading out to surround the crater. Their leader barked commands in that guttural language, weapons powering up with ominous hums. Now, Navarra whispered. Tomas opened his mind fully to the bond, dropping all barriers between. His consciousness and Lumen's. The sensation was overwhelming, like falling into an ocean of stars, ancient knowledge swirling around him. Through Lumen, he suddenly understood the patterns of energy that connected all living things, the invisible currents that flowed between worlds. Navara began a melodic chant, her voice raising harmonics that resonated with the patterns she'd drawn. Lumen responded, its body glowing with increasing intensity. The Virax hesitated, sensing something unexpected. Their leader shouted urgently, and they began to advance too late. Energy surged through the bond, using Tomas as a conduit between Lumen and the earth beneath them. Blue-white light erupted from the crater, expanding in a perfect circle along Navara's markings. It rose skyward in a pillar visible for miles, broadcasting on frequencies beyond human perception. Through Lumen's senses, Tomas perceived the Virax technology failing trackers, shorting out. Weapons systems crashing, communication devices dissolving into useless static. The hunters staggered, implants sparking painfully. The energy pulse lasted seconds, but felt like eternity. When it faded, Tomas fell to his knees, exhausted but exhilarated. Lumen landed beside him, wings folded close, its own energy temporarily depleted. The Virax hunters remained, but disoriented and effectively disarmed. Their leader tore off a malfunctioning helmet, revealing a face more vulnerable than Tomas had expected. Angry, yes, but also afraid. Navara stepped forward, energy staff extended but not activated. She spoke in their language, tone firm but not threatening. The leader responded, gestures sharp with frustration. "What's happening?" Tomas asked, struggling to his feet. "Negotiation," Navara replied without turning. "Their technology is crippled permanently. Without it, they cannot track Astrovaria energy signatures. The hatchling will be invisible to them." More words were exchanged, tense but controlled. Finally, the Virax leader gave what appeared to be a reluctant nod. The hunters retreated into the forest, casting wary glances back at Lumen. "They're leaving?" Tomas asked, disbelieving.
Oh.
"Hunters without weapons have little choice," Navara said, a smile finally breaking across her face. "And we just sent a beacon that my people will notice. The Virax won't risk confronting more Astrovari." Lumen pressed against Tomas's leg, satisfaction flowing through their bond. Safe now. Learn now. Grow now. As morning fully claimed the sky, they made their way back toward Tomas's cabin. The forest felt different somehow. Perhaps it was Tomas who had changed. Through his bond with Lumen, perceived the ecosystem around them with new awareness, the complex relationships between plants and animals, the flow of energy through living systems. "What happens now?" he asked Navara as his cabin came into view, untouched despite all that had occurred. "My people will come, eventually," she replied, drawn by the signal we sent. "But it could be months, even years by your reckoning. Space is vast, and we are scattered. And until then, you are Lumen's guardian, and I, ... She hesitated. "I find myself without an immediate mission." Tomas smiled, understanding her unspoken question. "This cabin has room for a visitor, especially one who might help explain to my ranger station why I have suddenly adopted an exotic pet," Lumen chittered, sending images of the three of them together. "Unit, a team, a family of sorts. Besides," Tomas added, watching the hatchling stretch its wings toward the morning sun, "I think we both have a lot to learn." As they entered the cabin together, Tomas felt something he hadn't experienced in years. The sense of beginning rather than ending. The universe had suddenly expanded beyond his forest, beyond his planet. Through Lumen's eyes, he would see stars. Not as distant points of light, but as potential destinations. And somewhere in that vastness were others, like Navara. Like Lumen, a community, waiting to be discovered, relationships waiting to be formed. The path ahead would not be simple. Explaining Lumen to the human world would require careful navigation. Protecting the hatchling, as it grew, would bring challenges they couldn't yet imagine. The Virax might be temporarily defeated, but the galaxy held other dangers. Yet standing in his cabin, with an alien companion on his shoulder, and another beside him, Tomas felt ready for whatever came next. Some people spent lifetimes searching for purpose. His had literally fallen from the sky. Begin now, together now, home now. Yes, Tomas agreed, as sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating the three of them in its warm glow.